Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today for your yoga practice. So, this class will be a gentle, nourishing yoga flow for stress relief. And we'll get started lying down on our backs. So, you can go ahead, make your way to reclined. If lying down on your back with your legs extended feels good, you can do that. Or maybe you plant your feet into the mat, walk your feet away from each other, and allow your knees to gently fall together. Find somewhere that feels comfortable and restful. And then you can close your eyes down here, or option to simply soften your gaze instead. Arms can go out beside you with the palms faced up, or you might like to bring both hands onto your belly. Taking a few moments here to fully arrive onto your mat. Bring your full presence into the here and now. Bring your awareness to your breath. And as you inhale, feel your belly and ribs rise upwards. As you exhale, feel your belly and ribs gently fall downwards. Inhale, belly, ribs expanding. Exhale, your belly and ribs contracting. A few more rounds of breath here with your awareness fully absorbed by your inhales and your exhales. Let's start to practice box breathing, a type of grounding and soothing breath work. For this, you just inhale through your nose for 4, hold the inhale at the top for 4, exhale for 4 through your nose, and then hold the exhale at the bottom for 4. That's 1 round, and we'll do 5 rounds of box breathing here. Let's begin by taking a big exhale, emptying all the air out from your belly. And then inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4. 2 more rounds here, counting for yourself. You can let your breath return to normal once you're ready. And then we'll begin to gently move. So you can bring your arms out to a T here, or maybe bring your arms to a cactus shape if you don't have room like me. Walk your feet away from each other. So if your legs are extended, you'll need to bend your knees, plant your feet into the mat. Feet walk away from each other. And then you'll let both knees fall off to the left for a gentle twist. Inhale here. And then as you exhale, both knees fall off to the right. Inhale, knees to your left. Exhale, knees to your right. Inhale, left. Exhale, right. Bring your knees back to center. And then gently, one knee at a time, bring both knees into your chest. Give yourself a hug in reclined child's pose. You can decide to stay in stillness, or maybe swaying gently side to side feels nourishing for you. Maybe thinking of this as massaging your low back into your mat. Take 2 more deep belly breaths. And now keeping your knees together, bring your hands to the tops of your knees. We're going to make circles with the knees and the hips. So allow your knees to move over to one side, then away from you, knees over to the other side, then a little bit closer to your chest. You can keep going just like that. Nice big circles, starting to warm up and mobilize your hips. Let's change directions of those circles. Take them the other way. Come back to center. Now we're going to take the knees in opposite circles to each other. So you can bring one hand onto each knee, then guide your knees towards your chest. Separate your knees and your feet away from each other. Guide them your knees away from you, then bring your knees together. Knees close to you, knees and feet wide, knees away, knees back together, bring them in. So you can keep going just like that here. Move at your own pace. And then reverse that. It might be a little bit confusing at first to take it the other way. But you got this. Making circles in the opposite direction. Once you feel ready, bring your feet back to the mat. Let the soles of your feet meet as your knees go wide, reclined butterfly. You might wish to bring blocks or pillows or cushions if you have them underneath your thighs and your knees to take some of the intensity out of this. You can bring your hands onto your belly. If it feels nice for you, you might even like to bring your arms up overhead and hold onto opposite shoulders, or opposite elbows rather, opening into your shoulders. Soften your face as you take 3 more deep belly breaths here. And if it feels good, you might even like to sigh it out through your mouth on your exhale, making any noises that feel right to you. You can use your hands to gently guide your knees back together. Bring your knees into your chest once more, just so you can either rock up or roll off to one side and then push yourself up as we make our way to a tabletop position here. So in tabletop, your hands are under your shoulders, your knees are under your hips. Let's take cat-cow. Inhale, drop your belly towards the mat, gaze forward. Exhale, tuck your tailbone, push into hands and knees, dome out the upper back, chin to chest. Inhale, your belly drops, gaze forward. Exhale, reverse it. Now you can stick with this, or maybe you take your cat-cow into a wild cat-cow or cat-cow barrel rolls, where you get really expressive and explorative with it. You start to drop your belly towards the mat, move the torso over to one side, round through the spine like you're coming into cat. Move the torso over to the other side, drop your belly like you're coming into cow. Tracing circles with your torso. Let your body lead the way here. Maybe even bend into your elbows. Maybe even sink your hips down towards your heels. And then we'll change the circles, take them the other way. Nice. Coming back to center. Bring your big toes to touch. Your knees go wide. We'll take a wide-legged child's pose, where you sink your hips back towards your heels and then you start to walk your arms ahead of you. You can rest your forehead on the ground, or you can bring the ground closer by bringing a block or a cushion under your forehead. You could also stack your forearms one on top of each other and rest your head down on your forearms. If you do this, something I quite like doing here is just rolling my head side to side so that I'm massaging my eyebrows against my forearms. That feels really nice for me. Feels like it's releasing some tension here at the brows. Take one more breath here in wide-legged child's pose. And then come back to tabletop. You can bring your knees back into hips width distance apart. Walk your hands a little bit further forward. Spread wide through all 10 fingers as we set up for downward facing dog. Push into your fingers, into the 4 corners of your palms. Tuck your toes under. Pick your knees up. And then send your hips up and back on the diagonal behind you. Your gaze is back at your feet. Your feet are about hips width distance apart. Really elongating your spine. If you feel that your spine is quite rounded here, it can be really helpful to take a deep bend into both knees. One more breath in downward facing dog. And then when you're ready, you can walk or step to the front of your mat. We'll take a ragdoll forward fold. So bend both knees, all 10 toes point forward. Allow your torso to release over your legs. You can let your arms dangle. You can hold on to opposite elbows. Let your head hang heavy. Three more deep breaths here. Relax your face. You can let go of the hold on your elbows. With a bend in your knees, in slow motion, we'll roll one vertebrae at a time, all the way up to standing. Your head is the last thing to arrive. Once you're here, bring your feet to about hips width distance apart. Inhale, reach your arms up to the sky. As you exhale, hold onto your right wrist with your left hand. Inhale to elongate your spine once more. Exhale, lean over to the left for right side body stretch. Take another 2 breaths as you send your hips to the right and you lean to the left. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, switch at the hold. Inhale, elongate your spine. Exhale, lean to the right as your hips go to the left. 2 more deep breaths, breathing into your left rib cage. Inhale, back to center. You can release the hold on your wrist. Maybe take a little back bend as you gaze up. And then exhale, start to fold forward here. Inhale, halfway lift, torso parallel to the ground. And then as you exhale, step the left foot to the back of your mat and drop your left knee down. Low lunge, right side. If you have blocks, you're welcome to bring them underneath your hands here. Gaze forward, roll your shoulders down your back. 2 deep breaths, breathing into your left hip flexor, left quad. And for this, can you make sure that your right heel is on the ground? That might mean that you have to walk the right foot a little bit further forward. You can stay here, or option to reach arms up to the sky. Start to turn this low lunge into a low lunge with a heart opener. Lots of options. You could stay like this. You could hold on to opposite elbows. You could interlace your hands behind your head. Make a little basket for your head, starting to lean your head into your hands as your elbows go wide. Your choice. Take one more breath here in low lunge, your version. Inhale, reach your arms back up to the sky. Exhale, bring your hands down to frame the right foot and we'll straighten through the right legs for half splits as you flex your right toes back towards your face. You can always have a deep bend here in the right knee if that feels best for you. And then you can stay upright, or you might like to hinge from your hips as you fold forward over the right leg. Think of sending your right hip back and your left hip forward. One more breath here, breathing into the back of your right leg. Rising up and out of this, and then rebend into your right knee. Come to lizard lunge. Bring your right hand inside your right foot as you walk your right foot out nice and wide. Getting a little bit deeper now into your left hip flexor and left quad. You might even like to tuck your left toes under and walk your left knee back slightly to deepen sensation. You can stay here for another few rounds of breath, and we'll have a little bit of time to explore here. So you might decide to stay in stillness. Maybe that serves your body best. You could have blocks underneath your hands. You could even come down to forearms if that feels good for you. Or maybe you take a little bit of movement where you start to maybe straighten through the right leg, rebend it, maybe sway side to side, maybe bring a twist into it, twisting to the right. A few more breaths here to take some intuitive movement. Maybe you do something totally different to what I've suggested. It's your practice. Allow your body to lead the way. We'll all meet in lizard lunge, up on your hands. You're going to tuck back toes under, lift your back knee up off the mat, and now a big step forward with your left foot behind your left wrist. We're setting up for yogi squat. Heels point in as your toes point out. Now you could take an elevated squat here if you prefer, resting your elbows onto your thighs, interlacing your fingers, or maybe you start to sink your hips down nice and low. If your heels are up off the mat, do not worry. That is perfectly normal. You can always bring your hands down to support you. Maybe you bring your hands into prayer. Push your knees into your elbows, elbows into your knees if that serves your body here. Let's take 3 more breaths in Yogi Squat Malasana. Bring your hands back to the ground, straighten through your legs, heel toe your feet into about hips width distance apart, all 10 toes point forward, and then fold over your legs. You can keep that bend in your knees. You can let your arms dangle, maybe even hold on to opposite elbows. Or if it feels good in your body, maybe you wrap your hands around the backs of your calves and start to fold a little deeper. Take 2 more breaths here in your forward fold Uttanasana. Bend your knees, let your arms dangle towards the floor. Ragdoll, roll up. So roll 1 vertebra at a time, all the way up to standing. Your head is the last thing to rise. Inhale, reach arms up to the sky, maybe a little back bend. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift, torso parallel to the ground. Exhale, step the right foot to the back of your mat. Drop your right knee down. Low lunge left side. Blocks are so welcome underneath your hands here. Roll your shoulders down your back, gazing forward. Take 2 more breaths in low lunge Anjaneyasana, left side. option to stay here, or maybe start to rise up, reach your arms up to the sky, opening into your heart space. You can keep the arms reaching upwards. Maybe you hold on to opposite elbows. Another option is to interlace your hands behind your head. Let your elbows go wide as you squeeze your shoulder blades together and you start to lean backwards a little bit. One more deep breath here. Inhale, reach your arms back up to the sky. Exhale, bring your hands down to frame the left foot straight and through your left leg, half splits. Flex your left toes back towards your face. You can bend into your left knee. You can stay here, or maybe you start to fold over your left leg. Think of reaching your left hip to the back of your mat and your right hip forward, like you're squeezing your inner thighs towards each other. One more breath in half splits, Ardha Hanumanasana. Rising up and out of this, rebend into your left knee. Bring your left hand inside the left foot and walk your left foot out nice and wide. Lizard lunge, left side. Time to explore here. So you might choose stillness on the hands, maybe on the forearms, or you might take some intuitive movement, maybe little wiggles, side to side, maybe straightening through the left leg, rebending, maybe some twists, maybe something totally different. A few breaths here to explore. If it helps, you might like to close your eyes down to really let your body lead you. We'll all meet in lizard lunge. Step your left knee back to meet your right, whatever way works for you. Lower down onto your belly for Sphinx pose. You can lift your head and chest up off the mat. Bring your elbows underneath your shoulders. If having elbows underneath your shoulders creates a lot of discomfort in the lower back and it just doesn't feel right there, to take some of the intensity out of it, you can start to walk your elbows way further forward. We'll be here in your version of Sphinx for another 4 deep breaths. Roll your shoulders down your back. Think of reaching your chest through your arms. Gaze forward if it feels good for your neck. Relax your jaw. Breathe deep. When you feel ready, let your elbows open out to the side. You can stack one hand on top of the other and rest your head down on your hands like your hands are a little pillow for your head. I'm just going to keep my head elevated for the sake of the mic. You might like to wiggle your hips a little bit side to side. Maybe even bend your knees, let your feet fall from side to side like you're taking windshield wiper twists on your belly. And then you can extend your legs back long once more. Bring your hands under your shoulders. Push yourself up to tabletop. And let's transition to a seated position. So coming to sit down. Let's take butterfly pose. You can bring the soles of your feet together, allow your knees to go wide. Now for this, if you feel a little bit rolled backwards and like it's difficult to fold forward, what can be really helpful is to sit up on blocks, cushions, or even a rolled up blanket. Elevating your hips a little bit will help with the tilt of your pelvis forward when it comes to folding. So you could always even just stay here. This might be plenty. This might feel really good. You could bring your hands back behind you to support you. Or maybe you start to fold a little bit forward, thinking of the folding action happening from the hips. So it's like you're trying to reach the belly button towards the feet rather than your head. You can walk your hands in front of you. And we'll be here for 4 more breaths. Breathing into your lower back, inner thighs, hips, of course. Relaxing your face. One more breath here. Rising out of this. Extend your left leg off out to the side. Bring the right sole of your foot in line with your left thigh. Torso turns to face the right. Left arm slides down left leg. Right arm in line with right ear. Side body stretch in half butterfly. Think of turning your chest out to the side. We're also targeting the right lower back and right hip here. One more deep breath. Slowly rise up and out of this. Then just square your hips over towards your left foot. So both hips are pointing forward for half butterfly. Inhale to grow tall. Exhale, you can stay here, or maybe you start to hinge from your hips as you fold forward over your left leg. Your hands can rest anywhere that work for you. Flexing your left toes back towards you. You can have a bend in your left knee here. You could even bring a cushion or a block underneath your right knee. Take 2 more breaths here in half butterfly. Gently rise out of that. Plant the right foot into the mat. We're setting up for a twist here. So your right knee is now pointing upwards. Both hips are squaring forward. You're going to wrap the left hand around the right knee as you turn your torso to face the right. And then you can bring your right hand back behind you to act as a support. If it feels good, you might even tuck the left elbow into your right knee. Grow tall through your spine. Maybe look over your right shoulder. Here for 2 more breaths in your twist. And then you can release that. We're going to do all of that on the other side. So now you'll extend the right leg off out in the diagonal. Left sole of the foot is next to your right thigh. Your right arm slides down your right leg as your torso faces off out to the side. And then you can reach your left arm in line with your left ear. The entire time, thinking of turning your chest up towards the ceiling. 3 more breaths here. Gently rising out of that. Once more, square your hips over towards your right leg. Both hips are now pointing forward. And then from here, inhale, grow tall. You can always stick with this, or maybe starting to fold forward over the right leg. Let your hands rest absolutely anywhere that works for you. And we'll pause here in half butterfly, Janu Shirsasana, for 3 more breaths. Slowly rising out of that. Plant your left foot into the ground so your left knee points upwards for our twist. Torso turns to face the left. You wrap your right hand around your left knee as your left fingertips and left arm come back behind you to support you. You could even tuck your right elbow into your left knee. Think of stacking your shoulders over your hips as you reach tall to the crown of your head. Twist from your belly. Then maybe look over your left shoulder. Your right toes flex back towards you. Another 3 breaths here in your seated twist. Slowly returning back to center. Now we're going to take a wide-legged seated position. So your legs open wide out to the side. If there's any pain behind your knees at all, close your legs a little bit more. Bring the feet closer to each other. You can always sit up on something here to help with the tilt of your pelvis forward. So maybe a blanket, cushions, a block. And then you can stay here. You might even like to keep your hands back behind you to support you. Or maybe you start to once more fold from your hips. So think of the fold initiating from the pelvis. You can start to walk your hands in front of you. If there's any pain at all behind the knees, you can take a bend into your knees. You could even bring cushions or blocks underneath them. And we'll be here in wide-legged forward fold for another 4 breaths. Breathing into your inner thighs, hips, low back. Take 1 more breath here. And then when you're ready, slowly rise up and out of that. You can bend into your knees, plant your feet into your mat, then start to walk your hands back behind you. Walk your feet away from each other. We're going to take some windshield wiper twists, letting both knees fall off to the right, then over to the left. And then you can just go side to side here at your own pace. And now, plant both feet into your mat, bend your knees, give yourself a little hug here, tuck your chin to your chest, seated child's pose. And wrapping your arms around your knees. 2 more breaths here. making yourself into a little ball. And then when you're ready, come to lie down on your back for Shavasana. Final relaxation. Take your time to get there. We're in no rush. Make yourself comfortable, so you can choose to have your legs extended long. You can take Shavasana lying on your side, even lying on your belly. You could have a bolster underneath your knees or some pillows. You might like to bring a blanket over you to make yourself comfortable and cozy. Once you've found your position for Shavasana, somewhere that feels really restful, you can close your eyes down or soften your gaze. Shavasana is a posture of deep rest where we integrate the practice. Give yourself a full permission to soften and surrender here in your Shavasana. There's nothing more left to do now except rest. Here for a few more minutes in silence. Your only task is to rest. I'll keep an eye on the time and I'll call you back with the sound of my voice. When you feel ready, take a deep breath here, bringing some life back into your body. Inhale. Exhale. Wiggle fingers and toes. Take out any other little gentle movement that feels nice. Maybe rock your head a little bit side to side. Roll out your wrists, your ankles. Maybe even take a big stretch, reaching your hands and feet away from each other. Gently bringing one knee at a time into your chest. Give yourself a hug here in reclined child's pose. We'll take one more breath. Inhale. Exhale. Taking your time to get there, whatever way works for you, make your way up to seated. And we'll close the practice here together in cross-legged. When you're ready, inhale, reach arms up to the sky. Exhale, bring your hands to prayer, Anjali Mudra at heart center. Closing by chanting the sacred sound of Om, followed by Shanti, which means peace, 3 times. Beginning with an inhale. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Bowing your head to your heart. And then when you're ready, slowly coming back into your space. Thank you so very much for practicing with me today. I really hope that you enjoyed that class. If you did, I would so appreciate it if you could like this video, subscribe to the channel, or even leave a comment below if you feel called to do so. And if you'd like to practice with me even more, I also share yoga on my Patreon membership, where I share 3 classes every week. So you might like to check that out. You can join with a 7-day free trial and see how you like it. Yeah, thank you so very much. I hope you have an absolutely beautiful rest of your day. Bye.